All right, let's just get right into it. If you're an engineer, you know this feeling. A major database upgrade is coming up, and suddenly there's this low-level hum of anxiety in every single meeting. I mean, it's one of the most high-stakes things we do, and today we're going to break down a huge debate right at the heart of it all.
You see this phrase on the screen? Zero downtime Postgres cutover? Yeah. Say that in a room full of engineers, and you're going to get a nervous laugh. You will. Because anyone who's actually been in the trenches knows that behind that nice, simple, glossy promise from a cloud provider, there's a world of complexity, risk, and a whole lot of late-night war stories. And all that complexity? It's basically created two camps, a real split in the community. On one side, you've got Team Blue-Green. They trust the automated push-button solution from AWS. But on the other side, you've got Team DIY. They believe that when real money is on the line, you have to build your own safety net. So let's unpack this whole debate.
So let's start with Team Blue-Green, the champions of simplicity. Why do so many really smart engineers put their faith in AWS's managed Blue-Green deployment system? What's the appeal?
Well, it really all comes down to this core promise. The dream, right? The dream is that a major database version bump should be as boring and predictable as updating your phone. You know, a couple of taps, you wait a few minutes, and boom, you're on the new version. No sweat.
And honestly, Blue-Green gets you pretty darn close to that dream because it handles all the messy, super error-prone parts of the process for you. This automation is everything. It deals with the stuff that gives engineers nightmares, creating replication slots, making sure the data is consistent, and, this one's huge, avoiding that awful performance hit from lazy loading, where your database just feels like it's stuck in mud because the disk is still warming up. Blue-Green just takes care of all of that.
And this quote, it just perfectly captures the whole philosophy of Team Blue-Green. Their argument is super pragmatic. Look, the managed service is there for a reason. It's been tested at a massive scale. So why would you try to reinvent this incredibly complex, risky wheel when you can just use the tool designed for the job? To them, the whole DIY thing is just over-engineering. But not everyone's sold on that idea. So let's switch gears and talk about the other side of this debate, Team DIY. For them, the argument is that for any serious production system, giving up control is the biggest risk you can possibly take.
And this is the question that keeps them up at night. The second you hit that final cutover button in a Blue-Green deployment, that's it. You're committed. There is no easy way back. And for Team DIY, that one-way door, it's an absolute deal breaker.
And their caution, it's rooted in some very specific limits. First, like we said, no real rollback. Second, you can't really test how your application's queries are going to behave on the new Postgres version before you're locked in. Third, and this is a big one for a lot of shops, you can't manage this whole critical process through your code with tools like CloudFormation. And finally, there's just a bit of a black box feel to it all that makes some engineers pretty nervous.
And this right here, it just perfectly illustrates the trade-off. Their solution is this super meticulous, multi-step process. I mean, it looks more like a NASA launch sequence than a software update, right? It is way more work, no question. But every single step gives them a point of control, a chance to test, and an exit ramp to back out safely if anything at all looks wrong. Now, here's what makes this whole debate so interesting. For some teams, it isn't actually a debate. There are some gnarly technical edge cases out there where Blue-Green just isn't an option, period. It forces them down the DIY path whether they like it or not.
These are the real showstoppers, the corners of the managed service world where things get complicated. If you're running a complex setup with replicas in different regions, or maybe you're using specific extensions like PostGIS that have their own quirky upgrade rules, Blue-Green might just say nope. For other folks, the performance hit of logical replication on an already struggling database is just too much to handle. In cases like these, DIY is the only path forward.
So after hearing both sides of this, who's right? Which approach is actually the better one? Well, if you look at the community discussion, the consensus seems to be that trying to pick a clear winner kind of misses the whole point.
Because the right answer? It depends completely on your situation, your constraints. This decision framework here sums it all up beautifully. If your database is well provisioned and you can live with that one-way cutover, then Blue-Green is clean, it's powerful, and it's probably the right call. But if rollback safety is an absolute, non-negotiable requirement, or if you have to test new version behavior before you commit, or if your team lives and dies by infrastructure as code, then the control you get from the DIY path is absolutely worth the extra effort. So what's the ultimate takeaway from all of this? It's actually not about choosing a technology. It's about a deeper understanding that, funny enough, unites both sides of this argument. And it's this:
The official documentation, it gives you the how, but it almost never prepares you for the sheer messiness of a real production system under heavy load. The actual survival guide, the stuff that saves your bacon, that comes from the community, from other engineers sharing their plans, their screw-ups, and their hard-won checklists.
This quote just nails it. A managed service can hide a lot of complexity, for sure, but it can never, ever absolve you of responsibility. It doesn't matter if you choose blue, green, or DIY. At the end of the day, you, the engineer, are the one responsible for understanding how your system is going to behave under pressure, especially when things go wrong.
And that's really the question this whole debate leaves us with. It's not just about planning for a successful upgrade. That's the easy part. It's about planning for failure. So the real question is, are you ready for that moment